Okay.
One of those bad parents that still buys McDonald's for my kids sometimes.
My kids have McDonald's every now and again.
Just a bit of a treat. It's dog shit, but...
They love it. Plus there's a playground.
Why don't you... I got it on Uber Eats, actually.
Well, that's just f***ing terrible.
You know what?
There was some rugby on this weekend.
Was it?
Yeah, well, that was the middle of the night, but it was rugby on. You woke up.
I woke up.
You sent me a text message.
I did.
To say...
I kind of did it. I wasn't trying to engage in a conversation. I just wanted to prove that I was awake.
You were actually getting up to watch some Six Nations.
And I sent a message saying, this sucks balls. Not the games, but the being awake.
The time kind of sucks.
Look, that's me. That's a photo of me. That's a real photo.
Oh, yeah, you took it.
Yeah. And yeah, that's brutal. I have some footage of myself as well. I took a little video, but I'm considering making a video right now, which I'm halfway through writing, so it should be ready about 3 weeks after it's relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Sounds about right for a distracted video.
That's your style.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But there was rugby on. I should say, at the start. Welcome to our viewers on YouTube, but also to those listening on podcasting platforms.
Like Spotify.
Which we always forget to mention.
iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Absolutely. And for those of you who are actually watching on YouTube, this feels odd that we're actually talking to the audience. We never do actual hosting stuff, do we? This is not our style. We're really good at it, though. But generally, the format of this, we have two channels. One that's very active, one that's not so much. Sporadic. But the stuff I put out there is very...
It's high effort.
Yeah. There's a lot of editing. Yeah. It's a different sort of vibe.
That's right.
It's a different sort of vibe. But one week, it's on Mark's... This week, it's on Mark's channel. And then next week, if you want to watch this podcast next week, you can watch it on my channel.
Yes. I usually put out a community post, just to, as a kind of FYI. Yeah. But, if you're wondering...
Distracted Sports.
Yes.
Distracted, that guy.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
It's not just a random name because he distracts me. His channel's actually called Distracted Sports.
But I actually do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we kind of...
It works. It works on multiple levels.
Exactly. It's a seriously weird, cheesy... strange name that I kind of just put out there at the beginning as a bit of a piss take, but somehow it kind of just...
So it's appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so related to rugby. People are like, 2 Cents Get Distracted. Oh, that must be about rugby. Well, the full name is 2 Cents Get Distracted, a rugby podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, if you want to really find us on some sort of platform.
So you did watch some rugby.
Oh, I did.
The first game was at 3:15 New Zealand time. I did have one... Well, a few actually lovely comments of people saying, good on you for getting up to watch the game. So, I mean, it takes a bit of...
It's a brutal time to wake up.
It's clearly not meant for the New Zealand audience.
Not. That's the first time I've ever woken up for a Six Nations game.
Yeah.
And it was worth it. It absolutely was worth it. We often wake up when it's November Test and all that sort of thing, but there's a little bit of anticipation and excitement. I didn't have that.
It's always different when it's your own team. But there's loads of people who have watched the Six Nations who aren't getting up at stupid o'clock to watch the All Blacks play. You know,
but they'll watch the highlights the next day.
For sure.
You know, kind of like what some Kiwis do, basically.
If you're a level above that, you avoid all the results and you try to watch a full match replay, but it's hard.
There's not that much interest on this part of the world. So I'm writing a piece right now about the fact that a lot of New Zealanders' kind of interpretation of what the Six Nation is, that it's just some sort of territorial kicking battle that nobody really wants to watch in this part of the world. Yeah. But it wasn't that. No. It wasn't that. And it...
Sounds like you might have caught a little bit of the
bug. Did I just get a bloody good weekend? I got a feeling I got a cracking weekend. I really did.
If that was like your first weekend of like full-on Six Nations, 3 o'clock in the morning rugby, like that's a pretty good one to start. I mean,
It was great. And like all the games were enjoyable. And after that, you know, the Wales-Ireland game, I was like, well, that was bloody entertaining. It was never close or never tight. Yeah. And I was like, well, we've had an entertaining game. And I was like, speaking of things that are going to put me to sleep, England versus Scotland. Here we go. You know. Holy shit.
Yeah.
One of the best games of rugby I have seen in a long time. Like, you know, there are a lot of good games throughout the year, but, you know, there are a lot of dungers out there as well. Yep. And generally, New Zealanders have an absolute, I was about to say apathy, but it's not apathy, but a disdain for English rugby.
Right.
We do in a lot of ways. We just think of people who can't spin it past their first 5 and they just kirk. Yeah. But it was entertaining on all fronts. Should we, before we jump into that, should we actually dissect a little bit of Wales-Ireland?
Wales and Ireland was the first game up. That was the 3:15 kickoff time for us.
I was looking like that.
Just in case you've forgotten. 34-10. Bonus point win for the Irish. There was a bit of talk about there's the Gatlin factor. Is he going to be able to galvanise the squad pretty much from the get-go? And then there was also the Cardiff factor. I mean, Ireland had beaten Wales in Cardiff in a World Cup warm-up a few years ago, but Six Nations-wise, it's proven a really difficult ground for them to go and get a win.
Yes.
And yet, like, within 2 minutes...
It was all over.
7-0, then 5 minutes later it was 14-0.
Going at a point a minute for the first 20 minutes,
basically. Yeah, James Lowe gets an intercept, and you're thinking...
That was a real heartbreak at that moment.
Because that's when Wales were actually starting to get some momentum.
They were stringing some stuff together, and you thought, they get a... Oh, no.
Yeah. Just as before you can complete the thought.
Yeah, exactly. But, I thought that all the Gatlin factors, playing at Cardiff, was grasping at straws last week. I don't want to say, I was right, but I was like, I haven't rated this Welsh team for a while, and there was a bit of hope that the dead cat bounces basically when a team's right up down on their luck, and new coach comes in, they all get in behind, they get that sort of siege-like mentality.
Yeah,
but it could not have started with
No.
It could not have been,
I love the shots of where they panned to like Warren Gatlin just sitting there in the coach's box, and it's just not happy.
I don't know,
not happy times.
What are his feelings? Do you think he's just like, well, it's not my fault, I've just arrived, or do you think like, well, I'm not the Messiah, or do you think that this old Warren ball kind of selecting freaking 45-year-olds to play, and they just don't have the cattle, and I don't know, the Welsh seem to love the bloke. I've given my opinion about him, and somebody on Twitter actually said, he turned a team that was number 9 into number 1. He's won 4 Six Nations and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, they're pretty good points, but I think it may be a little bit personal for me. He just gives me the shits a little bit.
He's really not popular in New Zealand at all.
No.
That may be something that
2017 Lions.
Our European friends maybe don't have a full appreciation of. But he definitely was viewed in a really, really negative light during the Lions tour in 2017. And I guess he just didn't endear himself to Kiwi fans either when he was with the Chiefs. It was... all very negative about him.
He lost 8 games in a row.
Yeah, it maybe speaks to a little bit of the Kiwis' lack of following for the Six Nations, and that his success there is a little bit kind of brushed off.
If you take away, here's a stat for you, if you take away the Lions' midweek games, he's lost 10 of his last 12 games that he's been a coach
that from?
on.
That's a beauty.
Yeah.
I'm getting excited.
Bang! No, I look because I'm writing this thing, and I'm like just a little. But they won some midweek games against freaking the Lions, against the South African provincial teams and stuff like that,
including one called the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. And then they won one test. They won the 2 games he's won in the last 12. Well, one game against Japan, which they should have won. Yeah, and they won the second test match
in the Lions tour.
First
test.
Yeah, and then he lost the 8 preceding games, and then he lost the last 2, and then the most recent one. So I think it's like 2 out of the last 12, or 2 of the last 12 or 13.
That's pretty hairy. That's pretty hairy.
So he doesn't have form. If he was,
call me blindly optimistic, but
you're blindly optimistic. But you reckon second
half?
half?
I don't think Wales were that bad in that game. I honestly think they started like about as bad as you can go. They started poorly. They did bring the game back, at least to kind of parity. They didn't get the points on the board that they would have wanted. But there's a few chances where they were kind of one drop pass away from potentially getting something going. And Ireland really had to work for that bonus point try. They got it during the Liam Williams yellow card. And they didn't make it. When it was what was the score? It was 27-3 or something. Yeah, it was like this could be 50 points. Yeah, it didn't go that way.
I thought it could turn into a bloodbath.
Yeah, and there was a few
they made it respectable in the second.
Yeah, Hawkins, the midfielder on his second test, I thought he looked alright. Rio Dyer, the young winger, I thought he looked pretty sharp.
Liam Williams, apart from his yellow card,
he was cracking.
Yeah,
so,
he carved it up a little bit.
I do think there's room for a bit of hope there. I'm not writing the Welsh off just yet based on that result. So obviously to lose 34-10 at home in this first game back is That's a pretty bad way for him to reintroduce himself to Welsh rugby.
No, and out of the 6 nations that played this weekend, they were definitely the worst.
Yeah.
They have the hardest road in front of them, in my opinion, right now. They still, don't have, a lot of the guys are just a little bit too long in the tooth. I know Alan Wynne-Jones is revered as some sort of saint-like creature over there, and he's been a fantastic player for a long time. But he's definitely not as effective.
I can even feel the goodwill of the Welsh public is turning. Like if one of the things I like to do whenever I see a team announced is to just go to that Facebook page of that union and just read the comments, because it's always everyone's an armchair coach, and we would all love to see whatever team that we would like to see out there. But there's always one player who gets the most grief, and it alternates and it varies. But at the moment, Sam Cane in New Zealand, like used to be Teddy Thomas with France, but like
Ruben Thorne in New Zealand.
for Wales right now, that guy is Alan Wynne-Jones.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I thought he was like some sort of revered, sort of godlike man.
Yeah, I think
he'd probably be very well thought of once he retires. How many tests has he played?
Oh, stupid! He's the most capped player
of all time.
Yeah,
and this is his last year. But it has to
pretty much. He had some quip on social media or something, or was it a press conference where he said that he's not going to play forever, and that it's the media that keeps thinking he wants to go forever, and that maybe he'll take up sports journalism afterwards because I've got a social media account. Can't be that hard. He's given a wee dig at the people in the media, giving him some sick.
Maybe he should be a YouTuber.
Yeah, maybe
he'd get some subscribers.
Oh, he's clearly got a bit of wit about him. So.
yeah. Well, he maybe it's a bit of a damning thing that there's just not an obvious replacement for him either. Like, there's not somebody who's saying, like, who's killing the old line. Like, I don't mean that in the sort of sense of he's a British and Irish line, but I mean in the sense of, like, a new dog comes along and, takes over, and nobody's really established themselves that way. But one thing we haven't spoken about so far was how flipping good the Irish looked when they started that game. They're the number 1 ranked team in the world, and
they looked it.
They looked so sharp, and for a team that hadn't played since November.
And they had Jameson Gibson Park pull out like pre-match
as well. Furlong's gone as well.
Yeah, Tyke Furlong wasn't playing. Kian Healy was the bench prop, a very experienced 100+ caps pulled out. But then for me, like Jameson Gibson Park, who I think we've talked about it before, who when he left New Zealand Rugby, if you'd be like, he's going to be a key part in the Irish success machine, you'd be like, come on.
He was a second stringer for the Blues.
The Blues, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but his game has been vitally important. His ability to do that kind of quick recycle ball and pick the right moments for when to box kick and whatnot has been phenomenal. And then he pulls out. And then Conor Murray comes back, who used to be kind of their legendary guy. And he's another one who's a bit like, he's getting a bit long on the tooth. He's a bit slow.
I thought he played well.
No, he played well.
He was really snappy from the base, of the rucks and stuff, base of the mauls and whatnot. And just the crispness of the back line and the power game of those forwards.
Relentless.
Yeah, really relentless. Kind of arrogant thing to say, a little All Black like in terms of the ruthlessness. Because the All Blacks, just been historically, yes, you beat us. But one thing they've always been known for is like, you give us a little bit of weakness, we will put 20 points on you like that.
That's what they did at the start of that game.
Like, even though the second half was tight, there was maybe like a half a moment breath where I was like, I think if Wales scored right now, be interesting. No, they're not going to. Yeah. They defended stoutly in that second half, where the Welsh really tried to throw.
The Irish defence. I mean, obviously everyone's going to talk about the 4 tries they scored in the opening of the game and whatnot, but the defence was just suffocating.
Yeah,
I love my stats. The tackling percentage was in the 90s. They were just very, very hard to break down. You could criticise the Welsh for not finishing off a few of those chances, but part of that is just the Irish, they just don't let you have those chances.
They could win the World Cup on that. Like, the All Blacks coming back at them in that third test.
I should mention, we mucked up last week with the draw.
We did. Sorry. So I don't think it's Ireland,
Ireland and South Africa are in the same pool. We got
exactly.
That
yes.
Totally tits
up. Thank you for
week.
The 800 people who pointed that out there. That's really helpful.
It's France or the All Blacks that, in all likelihood,
one of the worst things about making a mistake on a YouTube video is the first person points it out and you go, "Oh, bugger." And then like another 70 people pointed out, and you're like, yes.
By the time you've read that 70th comment, you don't want to read the comments.
It's good for the algo.
Yeah. I mean, we appreciate the feedback. I love getting that kind of feedback. Hey, you said this guy's name wrong. You got this part wrong. I mean, that's part of the community.
Yeah.
When you read it 50 times, you're like, okay.
Yeah,
we got that one wrong.
I got it.
Big time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But
like, and that's not any better though. They're either going to play us
or the French,
the All Black, or the French. So
or potentially the Italians.
The host,
maybe.
Wow! Holy crap!
We'll get to them in a bit.
Yeah. Wouldn't put them off. Wouldn't take them off the chessboard right now. But yeah, so it's either the host and the favourites, or the most successful World Cup team of all time, and I'm calling them that because they have won equally as many World Cups as the Springboks. Thank you. Well, it was hard to remember that one. Just a small team, but they've never lost a pool game.
Okay. South Africans have won more World Cups they've taken part in.
That's a good point. All right, we'll call it a draw again. They're always going to have that, so we always have to be kind of one ahead of them.
Basically, because the first couple they didn't take part,
Well, yeah, they didn't take... The first one was 95 for them, wasn't it?
Jeez, they won. They were 100% for a while. I guess so were we in 87, but yeah.
Well, they won... So they lost 99.
They win every third one, I think is what it is. Every third one they win.
So they won every... Okay, so they're running at about...
So they're not allowed to win this one.
And we had a 27-year break between one of ours, or 24, something like that.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, it was a long time. But yeah, so that's not going to be an easy task for the Irish.
Yes. Either way, the Irish side of the draw, our side of the draw generally is tough.
It sucks.
Yes, it does suck.
It eats ass. Yeah. It's not good.
No.
Yeah, but it's exciting, and you've got to beat the best teams in the world to win.
Basically,
the World Cup.
that's.
But you kind of want them playing in semis and finals, quarterfinals. It's like getting rid of the likes of, I'm not going to say those teams.
Say a team.
Argentina. You get rid of Argentina. You get rid of Italy. You might get rid of
Italy's never made it up the pool,
haven't they? Sorry. You might get rid of a plucky Japan.
Right.
You get rid of one of the island nations that managed to sneak up there.
Okay.
And you get rid of the darlings.
Right.
The people like, and you
right.
And in an amazing world they make the semi.
Right. But either way, I was looking pretty bloody good. And I don't think Wales are looking that bad despite the result. That's just me.
Yeah.
I'm also the guy who said I thought Wayne Pevek would keep his job. So take that for what it's worth. It's called 2 cents rugby for a reason.
Yeah, I said last week that my big prediction was that I love the Irish, they're my second team, but I thought they'd go out in the quarters. But after that performance and just the way they're able to hold on and how tight they are,
belief levels are
the
rising.
belief level did rise for them. It really did.
Yeah.
The
fact they did it without Furlong and Gibson Park, I agree with.
The fact they were able to perform at that level after, we're talking a 3-month break. That's bloody impressive.
Didn't look like they skipped a beat, right? Look like they played last week.
Yeah, just out of the gates.
Yeah.
There are no signs of rust.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, not a huge amount of rust across all 6 nations.
True.
And as an All Black fan, love to shoehorn an All Black comment.
Any chance you can get.
It made me feel a bit nervous, the whole thing. Like, all of those teams, apart from Wales, looked worrying, Okay. Anyway, sorry, Wales. You looked okay in the second half. They did.
That was the first game. The second game was the one you kind of touched on.
Yes.
The match for the old Calcutta Cup. I think the Calcutta Cup is the closest they've got in the Six Nations to the Bledisloe.
I thought that was like a Indian Premier League.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest of the trophies.
Night Riders.
I don't know how many trophies there are between the two. Like, I think in the Rugby Championship now, we've got trophies between all of them. We've got the Mandela, is it Shield or Cup or Trophy? And then there's like the Sergeants, Argentinians and South Africans have got a cup between them.
For some reason, the Bledisloe Cup is, like, beating the South Africans is all the glory you need. There's no glory to whatever shield that is. No one's like, we get
this. That's right.
But with the Bledisloe Cup, there's some sort of, like...
Yeah, even though there is a cup between us and South Africa, or a trophy.
What's the one between South Africa and Australia?
There'll be something. Yeah.
That we don't know.
But the Calcutta Cup between England and Scotland, I think, has the same. Like, you noticed if you stuck around to the post match, they presented the cup and they had photos of it.
I didn't stick around.
Okay, well, Jamie Ritchie went up and went past one of the royal family. And
really?
Yeah. They presented a trophy and then they went down to the field and lifted the trophy. Like, it's like the Bledisloe Cup as far as like that's the best context I can put to it from a New Zealand perspective.
I had never heard of it before.
It's a big deal.
Well, good to know.
Well done, Scots retained it. That's the 3rd win in a row over the English for the first time since the 1970s.
Holy moly. Yeah. And what a bloody good team.
Game that was. I feel like that game is going to be, when we sit here at the end of the year in 2023, we're going to think, what were some of the best games of the year?
When we get out the old 2CGs.
When we're going to be doing the awards, you'll be thinking
about
what was one of the best games of the year, and
that's up there.
Well, this will be one of them.
100%.
I mean, part of it's Big Duhan.
Yeah, Duhan. That's... Yeah, don't someone steal my idea, I don't mind. But I've toyed with the idea of like making mock songs, but I wanted to make Duhan Van, and then do a Duhan Van der Fleer song.
Montage.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. You're thinking of Josh Van der Fleer.
Yeah, you know, sorry, Van der something.
Yeah.
He's either, I think he's Dutch.
Van der Fleer is Dutch.
Yeah.
Origin, Irish born.
Oh.
Before anyone tells us that he was born in Wicklow, I believe. But yeah, Van der Merwe's South African.
What I loved most about this game was there was a territorial kicking battle at times, and I think the English actually got the best of that.
For sure.
And it was actually kind of entertaining and intriguing, but the Scots were just able to open up that defence, especially in the first half, and I was like, the English are looking a little bit frail here.
Yeah.
And that's how they got that early dominance. But then the grit that the English showed to actually come back into it, and the belief they had, and it showed that under Borthwick there was actually something under the hood here. There is a bit of belief within these players, and it was just a great to and fro battle.
Lead changes. There's some games you watch, and a rugby gets a lot of stick for kicking. Rugby's always been a game about kicking. I mean, the All Blacks have traditionally always been one of the teams that kicks the ball a lot.
Yeah.
But sometimes you watch a game and the kicking is legit pretty boring because it's aimless and you feel like it's going nowhere. But this wasn't one of those games. Like, you know, you would see a kick and the chases, and then there'd be the battle at the breakdown once they like smash into the guy who's caught the ball. Like, it was genuinely just a good watch.
I'm traditionally not a huge fan of territorial kicking battles, like just an ongoing game of Pong.
Yeah.
And I think it sometimes gets to a point where it goes on for so long that even the bloody, other than the first fives and the fullbacks and maybe one of the wings, everybody else is just going, when are they going to start? Like, but when they're not engaged, we're not engaged.
Yeah.
And like, to be fair, I love running rugby. Yeah. I really, really do, and that's my favorite thing about about it. And I love there's nothing more than an incredible fullback who gets the ball and says, "F this, I'm going to take it on." You know, he's just like, you know, I'm going to go for this. And then able to create something, or they get absolutely pummeled and have a turnover, and it goes,
it was a bad idea. Should have kicked it.
You should have kicked it, or that sort of thing. So I think if you put rugby into like a computer and put an algorithm, it's like kick all the time, basically. So I understand the importance of needing to kick.
Yeah. Like,
I can find it a little bit boring, but there is a big difference between like territorial kicking and just trying to get like a 10 to 40 meter gain versus like, you know, attacking chip kicks or kicks out wide.
Yeah, it's definitely not all about kicks long. There's there's a whole mixed bag that you can kind of go through.
But the attack of the Scots, man, they've got something to them, and they have one player in particular who is genuinely wildly exciting. Like, how did South Africa screw the pooch by letting that guy?
South Africa's got a lot of wingers.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's giant.
Yeah, and he's fast. Yeah,
and he's got balance like a mother.
Yeah, I know you're not allowed to compare to him, but he does give me the Longo vibes. It's just the same vibes, just like in terms of being a big guy who's deceptively quick, who's got really good balance. Like,
scoring tries that they've got no right to score just by being a physical beast.
That's right. I'm not saying he is Jonah reincarnated. I'm saying
he's Jonah reincarnated.
Just the same vibes. Big guy, very quick.
You know what I get from him? Johnny Bravo vibes.
Because the haircut. What was his catchphrase? Like,
I don't know.
Come on, something like that.
But it's just basically a Blonde Elvis ripoff, basically, old Johnny Bravo. Which is what I'm saying about it.
Would Johnny Bravo be allowed today? I feel like he was too, because he was always after girls and he was always getting rejected.
What about that?
He'd probably be some kind of like, I don't know, sexual harassment dude.
Well, I always thought that about the super rapey skunk. What was his name? You know, that guy. Yeah,
from like Sylvester and the...
Yeah. It's very rapey.
Right.
And we watched that as like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds going. I remember at the time thinking it was...
I think he's a bit off. Something off about that guy.
Exactly.
True. But yeah, Duhan is a machine.
Oh, he is. It's genuinely just just like I don't have any like my favorite teams in Europe are Ireland just because of my heritage, Wales because of time spent there and people I know that are Welsh, and I love Gats, and then so I don't have any wild affiliation for Scotland, but I was about to say turned on by that, but in a way I was it was just an incredible performance across the board, so much heart, showing that they are a legit world-class team. That was world-class rugby. That game, that was some top echelon shit. Because to be fair, in New Zealand we think of Scotland as easy beats.
Right.
They're not a team that
they haven't beaten us.
They've never beaten us, and we usually put a fair amount of points on us, and they go pretty well for about 20-25 minutes.
They gave us a scare last year.
What was their score last year?
I remember they were ahead by 10 points.
Were they?
With 10-15 to go, and then we still won.
Do we just bloody mind will victories against some of these teams?
I think so.
Just we
I
can't.
It's the mental thing. Teams sometimes.
And then it's happened with Ireland. I wonder if Ireland never got that win against us in Chicago, what the scoreline would be. Because once they got that, they broke the camel's back.
It happened again.
Smashed the glass ceiling. So maybe that's going to happen.
For that first one,
Scotland.
The hardest one.
Yeah. Well, so that team could beat any team in the world.
Consistency has been their problem for a long time.
Van der Merwe could carve any team up in the world.
Of all the teams, I think since Fabien Galtier took over France, the only team that's gone on to beat them in France is Scotland. Really? Nobody else has been able to do it. Yeah. But then Scotland, I think the highest they've finished in Six Nations recently is either 4th or 3rd. That's their thing. So they can beat France away and then just absolutely shit the bed.
Yeah, right.
It's a roll of the dice. So they flip of a coin.
They could lose it.
Scotland are the new team where it's I just don't know which team's going to turn up. That's Scotland.
They got a French vibe.
Yeah, Scotland are the new France.
Scotland are the new France. France are the new All Blacks. And All Blacks are the new, I don't know. Who are we now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Teams that...
Stop bringing it back to the bloody All Blacks.
Can't
Leave
help
the All Blacks
it.
alone.
Stop touching.
It's the off-season. It's summer.
I do want to talk about the players leaving at the end of the year. We'll touch on that.
Right.
Touch on that. It'll give me just a little bit of...
you got to get those All Blacks vibes in.
Get an All Black chat in there somewhere. But... on the other hand, I think if I was English and I was just a brutal fan, I would probably be giving stick to the English.
But the first game, such a short prep time.
I don't think it's warranted. Yeah, I don't think the biggest problem I see, and look, I'm not going to claim this as an original thought, but after reading it in a few different places, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
the cohesion of Marcus Smith and Owen Farrell.
Yeah,
you got 2 10s. Both can hold down a place as 10s, but 2 10s don't work together. And they've kind of shoehorned themselves or pigeonholed themselves into a situation where Owen Farrell is the captain. So, but Marcus Smith
you want to play Marcus Smith.
Marcus Smith is the up and coming star. Has Owen Farrell played much at fullback or what?
No, it's either 10 or 12. For his club, he plays 10, and he plays really well at 10.
So he's a world class 10. Mm-hmm. He's had proven success at 10. Marcus Smith has just got that magic dust. Mm-hmm. Made a couple of bad decisions, but did pretty well.
I think it's just it's mainly defensively, where it gets exposed.
He's a little boy, He's small.
There were some missed tackles across the board for England. I don't think England will miss that many tackles again this Six Nations. You know what I mean? I think
they felt like a new team, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a few times where their shape just got a bit, rattled, and then other times where just individual brilliance, had them missing tackles. So it's a combination.
Obviously, that Duhan Van der. I was going to say Van der Fleer again.
Say Van der Fleer. Go on. Duhan Van der Fleer. Just make it a thing. Someone will correct you in the comments
for the algo. That try, look, a few of those. The guy who got the last fend.
Don Brandt got fended.
He should have gone low.
Yeah.
But he was just like
he's the last guy after 4 other guys.
Yeah, exactly. But he should have gone low. Yeah. Because he lost all his pace, I think he was just like, have you seen how awesome this guy is? Oh shit!
Yeah.
He was dumbfounded, dumbstruck, caught in the lights at that moment, and it was beautiful because I thought, oh, he's gonna get tackled there. Because it was a sitting duck.
That was the thing. Every moment you were like, oh, he's gonna get tackled. No, this guy's gonna. No,
that was terrible tackle technique.
Yeah. It was a great try.
It was an incredible try, and thank God he did get fended off. And he still needed to make that fend. You know, it was. And then there was another moment very, very early on in the first 5 or so minutes where they just carved very easily. Like there's something going on in the midfield. Is there a defensive problems with Owen Farrell there? I know he got a great one on Foden Russell. Really, really smoked him, which was great to see. Tui Peloto tried to obey.
He got sat down by a steward, I think. Yeah.
He tried to obey the new laws and go low.
He's got
absolutely
flattened for it.
On his behind.
But that was another nice try. I mean, we're all talking about that Duhan van der Merwe try, but Tui Peloto's kick through for Hugh Jones.
Yeah,
that
very
was
nice.
A real peach of a try.
The try for Max Mellons.
Mellons,
he's to get that ball on the was it on the bounce or he's catching
it
as
the
way
he forced it was phenomenal. Like that's why that game was just such a great game. And so many great moments. Yeah,
man, Northern Hemisphere rugby forever.
It's exciting stuff.
It really is. Look.
Even Alice Genge, who, the big prop, he got a nice try, just a proper forward stride, burrowing over from close range. I mean, it wasn't all about the flashy backs.
You'll have a better memory than this. I promise I'm not going to talk about the All Blacks, but I am going to talk about some of the Hemisphere rugby for a second. If we look at, the self-proclaimed greatest championship of all time, with one World Cup win between them, versus the Rugby Championship with 8 World Cup wins between them. What were the games like last year? Like, let's just look at, other than my snide comment that I've just made then. I don't think the quality of the games were that good. Like, not as good as this. Like, the one non-Bella was, we didn't turn up. Ellis Park was a cracker game, but I can't really remember.
My problem is I watched that much rugby that I can't remember many games.
It just goes
it just goes into the void.
But you must, I think about World Cups, and I think I'll always remember the Women's World Cup final. True. I'll always remember the Rugby World. Oh, maybe these are just All Blacks involved. The 2003 World Cup final, which did not involve the All Blacks, it didn't have a lot of tries. That was a cracker of a game. True. That was a cracker of a final. So I don't really, but it feels to me that this is just a higher standard of rugby right now. I think the Northern Hemisphere are on top.
Where it's at.
Yeah, we'll talk about them in a moment, but that Italian team who put out that performance, who pushed, the favourites of the World Cup, the favourites for this tournament. So they're even now.
French and the Irish were pretty much at evens last time.
To the width of a bee's penis to fucking winning that game. Like, that team look like, if someone didn't tell me anything about rugby, I'd be like, well, it's obviously one of the best teams in the world. Like,
true. If it was your first time watching the game, you had no idea. You'd be like, wow, that was...
Yeah, they were great. And, I don't know, are we ready to move on, or is there anything else you want to say about...
Yeah, well, you mentioned Malins, I mentioned Genge.
What do you do with the Marcus Owen Farrell dilemma?
I think he'll keep going with it. I can't see him changing it. I think teams might be able to exploit them defensively. You get further options in attack. It's just one of those things. If you play 2 10s, you're going to have the ability to spread the ball and
2 pivots.
Yeah. More kicking options, but then sometimes I just want Manu Tuilangi at 12 just to go BAM!
BAM!
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take your pick.
Yeah. Right. So you don't think it's that much of an issue. You don't.
I think it still needs work, but I don't think it's a game breaker. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's another game of rugby.
The Italians and the French did
Before
play.
you go on, I haven't asked you.
Oh yeah.
Rugby New York, that absolute hotbed of rugby.
The MLR, rugby's hottest competition, is getting started in
from a team that
couple of weeks.
Got the old classic unicorn brushback. Absolutely.
Yeah, rocking the MLR gear. It's getting started soon. I figured I'd go with the reigning champion. I don't know what to call them because I've watched the MLR for 2 seasons, and this team has had 2 different names, and they got a 3rd name for this year.
Why can't they change ownership?
They just rebrand. The first year they were Rugby United New York. So Rooney for short, right?
Rugby United.
And then they dropped the United for the second season. So second season they were just Rugby New York. They dropped the United.
It's trying to have a little bit of a Yankees feel to that.
Yeah, right. So they dropped the U for their second season. And this 3rd season they're going to be called the New York Iron Workers. Yeah. The New York Iron Workers.
iron workers.
That's what they're going with.
Yep. What has iron workers got to do with?
I'm assuming there's some industrial connection with maybe where they play. I don't know. When I think New York, I think
we could be on for
making some steel
rebranding.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say that would be more like a Detroit type thing, like the Rust Belt, as they say.
Someone let us know. Someone who knows.
In the comments, let us know. Or if you're listening on Twitter, if you're listening to this, tweet one of us.
Yeah.
Let us know.
But yeah, the MLR's getting started soon, so there you go.
Well, I'm very excited about it.
I
quite like it. The orange hat kind of works with the little orange vibe. But
that's the old logo. That's the new logo. This is last season's logo, which is now out of date. Well, it's now out of date as well. They're both out of date.
I think that's quite good. It's kind of a Yankees feel.
You would think if you just won the competition, you would keep that.
Right.
Because that's your winning logo.
So is that who Naheem Milner-Skudder plays for?
Yeah, and Andy Ellis. Exactly. Oh, geez, you know your MLR. Look at you.
I do. I like to keep up with aging All Blacks.
Former All Blacks, indeed.
Yeah.
Waisake Naholo as well.
Waisake Naholo. It's pretty good little... Two very in their day. Wow.
Pretty good players.
Pretty bloody good. Like, set the world on fire, both of those guys.
You're bringing this back to the All Blacks again.
I meant it more as a comment on Super Rugby.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was bringing it back. I can't help it.
France.
Wow.
I mean, they got a bonus point win away from home, which in the championship terms is what they would have wanted as the minimum requirements, but not much more.
Well, it was the one game where I was least excited to watch it, and I wasn't even that excited for England and Scotland, but it was brilliant.
Right.
So, and this game I was like...
This game, I missed my alarm because I set it for the wrong day, like an idiot, and then I woke up 2 hours later, so probably when the game was just finishing, and I was kind of tempted to look up the result, but I was like, no, I'll just get up and watch the game, just go straight and watch it, because I was thinking, France, Italy, like, if I get spoiled to the result, it's not going to matter. But it would have mattered.
Yeah, it would have mattered. These are going to be the games harder. Like, it was a public holiday in New Zealand on Monday. It was. So I had like easy watching on Saturday morning, on Monday morning.
Right.
But I don't know how I'm going to watch these Monday morning games. Like, I've got to freaking work, you know, and then I guess
just don't look at the results.
Don't wait till the end of the day and
just don't get on social media.
Yeah, I guess. To be fair, I do have a lot of rugby people that I follow. But most of the time with Super Rugby, not Super Rugby, with Six Nations, you don't know who wins until you watch.
It's interesting because I checked one of New Zealand's main news sites immediately after watching this game to see if it was like front page news, and it was.
Oh, really?
It was like you had to scroll down a little bit, but it said like, you know, Italy push France close. Yeah, it was like it made news in New Zealand, which means it was a pretty big result.
Because I did the exact same thing. I did it on Stuff and I scrolled through.
There was Stuff. I was looking on Stuff as well.
I probably didn't scroll. Yeah, but I scrolled for a while. I didn't find it.
Okay.
It was just article after article about why Auckland's weather is so shit. Hey, there's
Airplay.
We've changed the name of the podcast to Airplay, everybody. Well,
technical difficulties.
Well, to be fair, it's not exactly. Do people watch this podcast for that projection?
Definitely.
That's
the only reason why people are here.
Exactly.
If you're listening to this, you have no idea what's happening. Our background.
Our background logo, which is really, really key to this whole thing.
Make sure you blur your device.
I did last time.
People are going to hack your TV.
I don't want them to hack my TV. It says that it's connected to it, but it's not. Alright, well, we tried. We could tell them the situation.
Okay.
Alright, we're back.
Italy.
Can we tell them first why they're looking at this and that blurred, hopefully? We weren't actually able to...
we can't fix this, and he can't find the remote to turn the TV off, so there you go.
That's it. That's the situation we're in right now.
Yeah, this is professional.
This is top level stuff. It really is.
This is why.
We're on a good flow there for a moment, but I think we're talking about rugby.
Italy pushed the French closer than anyone predicted. It was, 29-24.
Oh.
Italy came within one attack at the end of the game to potentially sneak in a wee result.
It was incredible. It was like the best sexual experience you've ever had in your entire life like building up into this amazing moment, all the foreplay and everything was amazing. Your hammer and thrust, you push, everything's going. And then right at the key moment where you think it's going to be simultaneous orgasms, you just go before the other person. And it's just like, oh. Because it just had that little bit of, oh. Because I thought, oh my God, this is going to be an incredible moment in Italian rugby. This is it. And I'm here to witness it because I'm watching it. This is what's happening. But
the fact that it ended with a maul going to
ground.
ground.
Yes, that's what I mean.
It was just like, oh.
Nothing says...
Even I saw Luca Bigi, the replacement hooker, just looking at the ref just like... kind of dumbstruck. Like,
exactly. That's the look of premature ejaculation.
You need to put a warning. You need to put a warning up prior to your little speech just now. For the people with children at home.
Oh, exactly.
Somebody think of the children.
That's why we get I said to Mark earlier today, so one of my favourite comments that come on these videos sometimes, especially when it's on your channel, is like, Mark, you know, I love your stuff. I love all your stats and the whiteboard. I can't get enough of it. But who the f*** is this guy?
You're talking about taking
Who's
a
this
dump.
guy talking about taking a shit? Like, you're too good for this.
It's a different vibe.
You might,
some people like the relaxed,
exactly.
nature of our chats. So
if you like it, we appreciate it.
Rich tapestry.
And if you don't like it, then hey,
you don't have to watch it. That's basically my motto in life.
Exactly.
If you don't like his face, don't watch it.
You wouldn't be the first.
But yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown just in terms of the way the game ended, but the game itself was phenomenal.
Incredible. That's what I'm saying. Well, sorry.
Can I go one little bit pessimistic though?
You can.
Because I was optimistic about the Welsh. Yes. Right? Despite the fact that on paper they got the biggest drubbing of the week and the Italians were remarkably close. The penalty count in this game was horrendously lopsided. I forget what it was. It was like 18-8 or something. So the French got absolutely smashed by the ref. Whatever it was they were doing at the breakdown, especially the ref didn't like it. The French didn't adapt to it, which is their fault. But the fact that the Italians had that much more in terms of kind of free territory and free opportunities, if you can call it free, and they still didn't win. And the French, like, they had some chances they genuinely blew. Like France, of their optimum peak, take those chances. Maybe it's not as good as it looks on paper.
Can I counter that with a slight bit of
Go on. Like I said, I may just be being a bit pessimistic.
The thing I loved most about it was the fact that I was watching it and a realization dawned on me was Italy are the Fiji of Europe. Like, they will run it from anywhere.
Oh, that was insane. I loved it.
They'll throw it about in their own 22 and you're like, kick the ball!
Yeah, what are you doing?
Exactly. And, like, they play with this youthful, reckless abandon.
Yeah.
And the fact that they gave... Like,
to play devil's advocate myself, they did give the French a huge lead. They gave them a head start. They gave it to them.
So, to me, they've got all the skill. They've got dynamic forwards. They've got some great players. They've got... Campazzo or Campazzi or whatever.
Campazzo, yeah.
Campazzo.
As long as it's not fucking Capuzzo, I will take it.
Capuzzo! Campazzo?
Yeah.
You know what? I actually practiced this in the car.
It's a 4-syllable name.
Campazzo?
As far as I'm aware. Like, I'm not saying I'm a great pronouncer of Italian names.
He literally looks like he's 11 years old.
Yeah.
But he is a great player. And there's a lot of youth in that squad. And I was thinking to myself... Okay, if these guys get a little bit more time under the, on the field, a bit more game time, a little bit more experience, are able to maintain that joyful expression of running rugby, but just able to make a couple of smarter decisions, they're world class. Well, they're bloody good.
Yeah.
Really, really good, and they've got every opportunity just to improve and go from strength to strength to strength. And it goes back to that talking about that investment in the youth game, because it's obviously paying dividends now, and they gave them so many opportunities, and the fact that the French couldn't make the most of them. That first 20 minutes, it felt a bit like, okay, we know where this is all going.
That's when I was thinking, I'll just look up the result. It don't matter. But it didn't, and thankfully it didn't, because it looked like it was just going to be the standard kind of hiding from the number 2 side in the world against like the number freaking 12 or whatever they are, but nah, it did not go according to the script.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The Italians, if they don't make that awful start, maybe this game does go a different way. But I do feel like the French, if they had a game that they needed to get out of the way, this is that game. Like if they play like this against Ireland next week, they're going to be up shit creek.
Yeah, right.
Because the Irish will not gift them, a 3-try lead or whatever it was.
Yeah, well there was that little dinky kick that the scrum half.
Got charged down. Varney had a bit of a stinker, sadly. He's a young
I thought
man.
he played alright other than that. Oh, can I say a controversial comment about the Scotland game? Scotland, I know I'm jumping around. Okay. Distracted sports, not there. But one player I thought in Scotland who I wasn't overly impressed with, but I hear other people saying, oh, it's so amazing, wow, that's why we love him. Finn Russell, I thought he was a bit shit. Like, especially in that first half, like, he was the only player out there who did some really dumb stuff. He was the only player out there who turned the ball over in bad positions. And I don't think any of the wildly...
For those of you listening, the background screen, apart from just having shit itself with the logo.
You know the worst thing about this, though? It makes sound. Okay. We haven't had an episode with this many technical difficulties for a while.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
Rugby. We were talking about... I put on a tangent about Finn Russell.
Oh, yes.
And I said that I don't really... I know he did some good passes. He put a couple of the guys through.
He gets the width out of that Scottish squad. I don't think they're able to look as fluid in attack with Kinghorn at the helm, but...
Yeah, right.
He's certainly... He's a gamble, basically. He's like a Carlos Spencer, basically.
I can think of the things he did badly, but I can't... he does some nice passes. But I didn't see him... Did he make any breaks? I saw him get absolutely smoked by Owen.
He made a few breaks. He got cranked there a few metres, yeah.
He got smoked by Owen Farrell. I did like his little G-up that he gave. That was nice stuff. Well, it's just...
That's rugby needs that kind of stuff, man. That's a storyline. Other sports would emphasize that as a part of
rugby values, bro.
Building the rivalry. Next time Farrell.
Am I being harsh on him though? Because I actually am a player who likes. Not a player. I'm somebody who likes.
A player.
I'm somebody who likes like the Carlos Spencers of this world. Like the guys who, do take that step that they're not meant to take, and they push it too far for that. Just to get that moment of absolute perfection. But yeah, I felt like, especially in that first half, he was a weak link, not a strength.
I thought it was a mixed bag.
Yeah?
I thought he played alright.
Did he make your team of the week?
He did.
He made the team of the week!
That was a hard one. He was kind of a sexy pick. What can I say?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was something for the ladies?
Yeah. He had some he had some nice numbers. Alright. I'm pretty sure I put a caveat there that basically you take him how you get him.
I haven't watched that video. If he made the team of the week,
I probably should have been Sexton.
Yeah,
because he was just Mr. Reliable. But
ran that team around, pulled the strings that he needed to.
Sometimes I don't go with the head. I go with the sexy Scotsman.
Straight with the cock. Cock to the Scots.
Italy. Capozzo.
Sorry, I just want to ask you one more question about your team of the week.
Okay.
Was it one of those weeks that Anton Dupont made number 9?
Makes it. He
but just didn't look incredible, but just does everything.
I literally said that in the video.
Yeah, right.
Like
I think he got, you say that.
I think he got man of the match.
Did he really?
It's basically like they just roll the dice and go, yeah, just fucking give it to him.
Well, did it just look? Oh shit! He actually made the most meters out of anybody in.
Like basically, I watched that game and was like, yeah, he played alright, but he didn't play like amazing. Like you wouldn't look at him and go, he's.
I try to focus on him a little bit, and when I noticed that his kicks just have a bit more oomph.
Yeah, and his tackles and his fins and whatnot. Like I looked at his run meters and he was like 50, and I looked at every other scrum half. Yeah. And like the next best was like 21, and I was like, right.
But what is he? Where is he getting these meters?
He's just a little bulldog, man. He just gets people off him. I don't know what he does. Yeah, right. He's just a freak.
Jeez Louise.
He doesn't look like he's doing that much all the time, but he was still pretty good.
Best player in the world.
One of them.
Up there. Right. Okay. So back to the actual meat and potatoes of the game itself. So great start from the French. All going is
a bit suicidal from the Italians, which is I think literally the words the commentators use because like sometimes
not a great choice of words.
I saw someone complain about that on Reddit, like, "Oh, we're allowed to use that word anymore?"
Wow, it's not a great. Somebody I know people who have committed suicide, and it's not a nice word. Like the kamikaze is also suicide.
Yeah, when I heard suicidal, I took it in the rugby context. I didn't think of it.
Yeah, of course. I didn't sit there going, "Oh, well, turning it off." But I just was like, that's a word. It was just a bit dumb. They were just playing a little bit dumb early on and played a little bit dumb. Like what do they say? The virtues of youth, basically, just playing with that exuberance.
But that's the kind of stuff these guys will learn from, for sure. Like, that's a great lesson for them. And the fact they got as close as they did, given the lead that they gifted, is a testament to the team they've got.
But it wasn't all just backs. Like, their forwards play with some real intelligence.
Oh, they've got some really good forwards. Like, both the Canone brothers, one of them's a lock and one of them's a loose forward. Those guys are really gritty players. They got some good props coming through.
Yeah. Lamaro plays with
the captain, for sure. So they've got some genuinely very good players. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of these guys start to get picked up by French, English, other clubs outside the two Italian clubs, which is good. Which is Kieran Crowley, the Italian coach, encourages that because basically he's got two URC teams, Benetton and Zebre. And basically those guys are pretty much going to be Italian. They've got a few imported players, but this is going to be the proving grounds for the guys who are coming through the ranks.
Yeah.
But every spot which is filled by like a established Italian international means another guy who's coming through isn't getting a chance to play. So he wants these guys go to England, go to France, play rugby elsewhere. We can bring somebody else through. So
the only counter to that would be then you don't get that sort of Conrad Smith money.
The cohesion thing. Yeah, for sure.
Cohesion that you can get, but it makes sense for where they are. In terms of this team in the next 10 years, this could be a wildly crucial period for Italian rugby that they've put so much sowing into trying to create this great team, and the seeds are developing.
That's right.
They're right there, and if they have some serious success at Six Nations level and who knows where, they get some decent victories over some big teams. This is the sort of team that could inspire the next generation of Italian talent.
100%.
So and to imagine like if Italy was like a world power,
a genuine contender,
like. And then, that's just only going to encourage the likes of
at the moment,
Spain
when you look at that World Cup pool and you're like, as a New Zealander, you're like, we got France. Oh, shit, that's tough. And then we got Italy. So at least that's kind of it's a free ride to the quarterfinals, basically. But I would love it to get to the point where you look at it and go, ooh, that's a tasty one. Like,
exactly.
Maybe it's not one where you think you're going to lose, but you at least think, shit, we better be
It's like a little bit like, well, let's not take Argentina too lightly here.
Yeah, basically.
There's no reason why they can't get to that point. There really isn't. It's exciting because these teams are just inching up year over year over year over year.
It's one thing that rugby has kind of struggled with, at least during my lifetime, is that there's only genuinely been a small handful of teams that are genuinely at that top level.
Yeah, right.
But it seems to be kind of slowly expanding. You're seeing teams. I mean, the fact that in our recent years, Ireland has beaten the All Blacks, Argentina has beaten the All Blacks. Like there's not that many teams now that tier 1 teams that haven't beaten the All Blacks. Like
Scotland and Wales since 1953.
Yeah, and the Italians. So that's
good.
That's a good thing.
Is Japan officially tier 1 now?
I think they are, but they don't have a competition to play in.
Poor bugger. We should put them in something.
They should be in the Rugby Championship if anywhere.
Yeah. Well, let's put them in. Yeah, six. Officially done.
Have a word.
Yeah, and it's actually not a bad number. The 3 games of rugby is not. It's manageable to watch in a weekend, isn't it?
One thing I will say, because you've just started watching the Six Nations proper for your first time, is
proper full weekend.
You only get that one game. You don't get to play England twice. You only get them once. Like if the Rugby Championship were to expand, that would make each game just that bit more meaningful. I mean, it's still cool that I love getting to play South Africa twice, the Aussies twice and whatnot, but Yeah, I think you would see more variation in winners if you had to only play each team once. But anyway.
Yeah. You only get that first up effort, and it's a genuine test match where it's like our best, your best.
That's it.
Let's see who's the best.
Exactly. Well, we managed to talk about Six Nations into Southern Hemisphere rugby once again.
Woo!
But
I'm sorry. I keep looking. I'm sorry, but everyone must be so upset about not having our sweet logo there.
But yeah, Jelly Bear got the winning try. I think the French bench. That even rhymes.
The French bench.
The French bench came on, and I think that won the game for them.
Jelly Bear.
Jelly Bear. If you look on the YouTube auto-generated subtitles, it's jelly, like jelly bean, and then bear.
You know who I like? Penis. He's good. But if I would just think penis, Pino, like he.
Pino.
Yeah.
Oh, Damien Pino. He didn't score a try. I had him in my fantasy team. He didn't score a try.
Okay. But he's quality.
See, I don't even think he was at his best. I think he's one guy who dropped at least one pass that he might have normally taken, kind of thing, or he threw one ball to, was it Ramos? I forget. One of their moves. It was like, oh, here they are. Oh, they mucked it up.
Right,
like I do feel like France. I said it earlier. They needed to get this game out of the way.
Yeah.
That's one of the good things, I guess, about playing the Italians first is that the French were far from their best and still managed to get a bonus point win. Yeah. Whereas, Ireland just came over.
But that's one of those. That's what the good teams do. Is they win even when they're not at their best.
Yeah, I forget which one of the commentators mentioned it, but like France's most recent results have all been close wins. Like they just got past the Aussies. They just got past. Was it the South Africans? Like they've been winning by really small margins. They've not been blowing teams out of the park.
Are we overhyping them?
That's one of the arguments. Is that are we overhyping them? Are they not that good, or is it that they are one of those teams that just even if they don't play their best, still manage to find a way to win?
Yeah, I think it could maybe the latter. I think just like looking at the quality of the players and like just the fact they all look like incredible physical specimens as well. Like. That forward back, that front row.
Oh, Antonio's a huge human.
Yeah, they're giants.
Went to Wesley College. John Lawrence College, yeah.
Did he really?
It's even on his jersey. Yeah, they put like the college they went to or something. Yeah, no, it's great.
You know what I like about the French jerseys as well? They've got a lovely affiliation for New Zealand. They put one of the proposed New Zealand flags on their back as well. You know that? You know how we had that big flag debate last year?
Yeah.
Not last year. It wasn't last year. Jeez, it was a long time.
Showing your age. It was John Keys days.
5 years ago, something like that. There was one of the finalists were that sort of triangular flag.
Oh yeah.
Looks huge. It looks exactly like what they. Well, not exactly, like a lot like. I'll put it side by side here. And then
that doesn't look anything like that.
It might do. It might do. Like they've got the thing on the back. It's like a triangular French flag.
Okay.
You've seen it?
No. Didn't pay attention.
Well, now I have to try and source that image and source that. Yeah. But anyway, so he's a Wesley College boy, just like Jonah. And so was he born in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Or? Oh, really? How did he end up in France?
Playing rugby, I guess. He's a big man.
The rugby got him.
He's a big man. But I do think France, they'll look back at that game and go, man, we didn't adapt to the ref that well. Matt Carley is one who only, I think, uses English to the French players.
Yeah, right.
So
I heard that.
Some of the players, like refs, like Wayne Barnes, uses a level of French, which I would say
if you can say roll away, leave it alone.
Yeah, I think Wayne Barnes is at a slightly higher level than that. I've never put too much pay into the fact that refs...
It must have an effect though. Like,
yeah,
I would be considered an absolute like. There are French people you meet when you're in France who just have a lot of people in France can speak a bit of English.
Okay,
but there are a lot of people in France, like especially in rural communities and stuff like that, who just have no idea.
Right.
Like never bothered to learn. And look, no judgment to them. I've never bothered to learn French or anything.
Sure.
So if you're from a rural community, or if you're just somebody who never bothered to learn English, or maybe school just wasn't your jam, and it wasn't your thing, and you got someone just yelling something at you in English in a language you don't really speak, or maybe people have said, hey, this is what it is, but in the heat of the moment where you're putting all your physical exertion into your thing, it might not just compute that quickly for you, and it probably is a little bit of a disadvantage. I do remember thinking at the time that Matt Carley sometimes would use another way of saying stuff. Like there's a real few, like handful of commands that, there's like release, tackle, like, there's a few
commands, like one-word commands that refs use. And there's a few times that I noticed him saying something like a slightly different variation, which, I mean, I would assume most of the rugby players, given it's their job and they know they're going to encounter English-speaking referees, would have at least a fundamental level. But sure, in the heat of the moment, you don't want to have to translate that in your brain. So I do feel like maybe that was a factor because their penalty count was honestly horrendous. Yeah. But part of that's on them. They needed to adapt. Like at half-time, I think they'd conceded 9 penalties. And then the second half, they conceded another 9. So I would have thought in the sheds, they would have done something to tell these players, stop fucking conceding so many penalties.
I think I was mainly in just a state of sort of like really thoroughly enjoying the game to almost in such a surprised way, like did not expect this to happen. But so I can't really remember what the penalties are for. What kind of infringements were they?
I feel like a lot of them were just at the breakdown. I've only watched the game
just not rolling away, or
yeah, just not being quick enough, or like going off their feet, or not releasing, that kind of thing. So,
and those are those little nuances in terms of what some referees paying other people.
That's usually the one that you would say like. It's part of rugby. People always talk about rugby and like the referees aren't consistent, but I've always considered it like part of being a rugby player is adapting to the way the referee is controlling the game. Like it's one thing Richie McCaw was really great at, like pushing it as far as he could without getting pinged.
Probably the best player we've ever seen.
At doing that, right? So that's something the French just didn't do in that game. They just kept getting it wrong.
Yeah.
And if they do that against Ireland, they're going to be in big trouble.
I think Ireland are the favourites. After this weekend, looking at all the teams...
Well, let's look at the 3 games, because you've got England against Italy, at home for England. So, in theory, England should bounce back and smash the Italians, but...
It's interesting because... Previous to this weekend, I've been like, okay, that's the win. They're getting that's how they're getting the campaign underway. But just due to the fact that Italy put that performance in, it would have taken so many learnings out of that particular game, and just would have a little bit of pep in their step about how well they did and the belief that would have put through the team just puts a little bit of apprehension in your voice.
Seed of doubt. Just a seed of doubt.
Let's be honest.
Still, England are big time favourites.
England are the favourites, but sleep on them at your peril.
Yeah, they'll need to bring their A game, otherwise 100%. They could be in for a surprise. Now, Scotland and Wales. I will say with this one, last year's Six Nations, I can remember very clearly the same situation happened, albeit the reverse of the fixtures. So Scotland opened their campaign with a win over England, and you're thinking, oh shit, man, the Scottish team's pretty good. They could be a genuine contender for the Six Nations. Wales last year, pretty crap, didn't win many games, but they won that game against Scotland. Scotland had to go and make it 2 from 2 to put themselves on the front foot to be a genuine Six Nations contender, and absolutely played shite.
Okay.
So this is that kind of same situation again, although this time they've done it in the reverse. They've won the away game. Now they're back at home at Murrayfield. They need to win.
They do need to win.
If they muck this one up again...
The Scots, how many... If they... did I hear it correctly earlier this week? I think I read or saw somewhere that they've never won the Six Nations.
They've never won the Six Nations. The last time they won it was the last season of the Five Nations, so just before Italy joined. So we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah, we're talking over 20
years, I think,
Wow. So this is a pretty crucial game. I get the feeling that you just by looking at the tea leaves, you're kind of thinking Wales are going to get up for this. Like you just feel like, because you've gone through this heartbreak so many times where you've gone, I really back them. Come on, guys, you've got some really good players. You can do this.
I feel like mentally, this is going to be a challenge for the Scottish guys. For some reason, against England in recent years anyway, they're able to bring it to another level, but then they fall flat the next week.
I'll put your mind at ease. I think the Scots are going to do it easy. Okay. They'll do it by 12.
Okay. Yeah. And then the last one, number 1 in the world, Ireland.
Because Wales is shit right now.
Against number 2 in the world, France. If I'm not mistaken.
When is that? Is that the last game?
I don't think so. I just want to save it for last.
No, but
I can't remember.
Which is the bloody Monday morning game? That's the one I'm going to struggle to watch. Okay. Monday morning rugby is just terrible because Monday morning's not a happy time.
Yeah, I have to drop the kids off at school.
I have to go to work and drop my kid off at school. Then you have to go and watch rugby, you sack of shit.
That's my job.
Yeah, I know. That's not my... I want to watch the rugby. I have to go and talk to people and go to meetings and stuff. It's a joy.
Meetings suck.
Well, yeah, they are a thing. Anyway, France, Ireland.
If I'm not mistaken, it's the first time Six Nations has had a number 1, number 2 in the world clash. Because, I mean, the All Blacks have always been number 1 and number 2. Pretty much. Yeah, sure. But now we're shit. We're number 3. But,
absolute crap.
And whoever wins this game is going to be number 1 in the world. If France win, they're number 1 in the world. If Ireland win, they're number 1 in the world. So, I mean, that's not really in the people's minds, because obviously it's just the Six Nations at hand, but that's still pretty cool.
I'm going to do something to irritate you right now.
Okay. You're going to do me do a fucking role play.
No. I'm not doing a role play. Montage of all our previous role plays. I'm shoehorning in an All Blacks comic. God. You know, sometimes you go to the doctor, right? And you go to the doctor and there's like, oh, actually, you probably need to get this checked out. That's a problem. And then you walk away and you go, you kind of needed to know, but you go, if I didn't go to the doctor, I wouldn't have to worry about that. It's not a problem. It's not a stress or anything like that. So you're like, oh, okay, well, so somehow you almost blame the doctor for a symptom. It's not. It's a weird logic, but there is some sort of logic there. I feel like watching the Six Nations. I'm watching all these teams that I never worry about. As an All Black fan, I'm like, they've got nothing on us. They're, you know, and then I'm watching them play and I'm like, holy, they could beat us. Yeah. They could beat us too. And then you're like, oh, it's making me like fluttery. Right. You know, like, and then when they actually do beat us, we're like, oh, we had it coming. I was like, I kind of liked my ignorance, basically. Right, okay, I get where you're coming from. So, watching these teams, I'm like, That's how I'm sort of feeling about the tournament overall, but I'm thoroughly enjoyed it completely. But in terms of this game, you know, and us being outside the top 2, and this is the big powerhouse.
This is literally the 2 best teams in the world.
This is the quarterfinal of the Rugby World Cup potentially.
Yes, you know? Because these guys are gonna potentially meet each other from different pools.
How absurd is that, World Rugby? Talking to you directly, that you fucked it up so bad. The number 1 and 2
team. If they made the draw now, then that wouldn't happen, and people would still have more than half a year to get their tickets sorted. Yeah, and plan their holidays.
Or just do it if they did it 4 months ago. You know, it would have been better than what it is now. Way better. Anyway, so this is a huge game, and I think Ireland are going to win it. I think that just if they can come out and play with the composure that they've shown that they can play with, that they were able to get straight back into like a comfy old pair of shoes, that they were able to play with when they played in New Zealand, when everybody says the All Blacks are going to bounce back, you know, when they come back after a loss.
Nobody beats the All Blacks twice in a row.
And then they just were able to maintain, and they were able to take it from strength to strength under enormous pressure and under the weight of historical pressure as well. I think that this is their game for the taking at home. I think the as you say, the French have had that series of close calls. I do think they're a touch off the pace in terms of their cohesion. I think
they are missing a few key guys, but I mean every team's got injuries. You know, that's a fact of life.
Yeah. But they're not. It was a real different thing where, like, we saw the Irish start playing. They weren't getting lucky tries. They were getting tries that were
team tries, like the Doris try, the Van der Vlier try, or the Van der Merwe try. Were just like, you know, they just go through phases and just arm wrestle you until you can't fight back.
They got 3 tries exactly like that at the start of every game against the All Blacks. Even the one that got when they got beaten at Eden Park.
Exactly. Well, if I'm not mistaken, and people will tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think Andy Farrell has beaten France since he's taken over the Irish top job. I think that's his bogey team.
Oh, really? So history's there for the...
Well, they showed that when they were down here, didn't they?
Exactly. No one had beat us at home in a series since 1994 before that.
So he laughs in the face of the French
I laugh in the face of danger. Yeah. Well, it's an exciting game and a mouth-watering clash.
That's the must-watch one of the round.
So I'm going to have to wake my ass up again. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you are.
But I know, I was so impressed with these games. I really was.
So this round is going to be an absolute stinker.
I'm like, this is why I hate Northern Hemisphere rugby. Never again, Mark. Never again.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Blues, the Crusaders, the Hurricanes, and the All Blacks. That's it. I don't want to talk about the Chiefs. They're too closely related to Gatland. Incredible rugby, and reaffirms my position. I think I made this point after the July test in one of my videos. Was the power is in the north. You know, it is. You've watched a crap load of rugby over the last 5 years. Would you agree with that sentiment, or?
Oh, right now it's hard to argue with Ireland or France being the best two teams in the world. So yeah. I'm very much looking forward to this weekend's games.
Rugby.
Is there anything else you want? That's everything on my list.
Well, things I want to talk about. Number one, we better wrap it up because this is probably going to die in terms of my battery at some stage. Where they released the All Black schedule this year. Sorry, I just want to talk about the Wolves. I'm sorry. Okay, there's 2 points. Okay, they released the All Black schedule because of the World Cup, the Women's Football World Cup.
Oh, okay.
There is no test at Eden Park. They're playing at Mount Smart this year.
Oh shit! I didn't see that.
Yeah, they're playing at Mount Smart.
Mount Smart is our league ground.
Yeah,
it'd be like when
the Mighty Warriors played.
When they played the games of, I remember once they played at like Croke Park in Ireland, which is like the big Gaelic football ground. Yeah, it's the same deal.
So they're playing at the home of the Warriors and the Kiwis.
It'd be like England playing at Wembley kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to paint a picture for them.
Exactly. So they're playing no test at Eden Park this year. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to talk, which makes me feel unsettled. It does make me feel unsettled.
Are we going to Japan?
Adi Savir, Bodie Barrett, and Aaron Smith have all signed for Japan. All gone.
To be expected. And Brody as well, I think.
Isn't Richie Mwanga?
Yeah, Richie's going as well.
So my question to you.
So we're losing our 8, our 9, our 10, and our 10/15. Yeah, that's half the team. A quarter of the team. A third of the team.
Who plays first five? No, this is dumb. I know, but I just hypothetical. Who plays first five? Who's third string first five right now in New Zealand?
You need to find somebody new.
Razor, the inheriting a team of.
I remember when Richie Mo'unga took over from Dan Carter. I remember the year Dan Carter left New Zealand Rugby after the World Cup, and I was like, thank God Carter's gone. Richie McCaw's retired. The Crusaders are going to be shit now. And then they just brought through another world-class, arguably world-class team.
Kieran Reid for a wee bit longer. Yeah, they also had the Whitelock.
There'll be somebody.
Can we just call him the Whitelock and ignore his brothers? Yeah. So there'll be somebody.
Hopefully.
The factory of tuning out.
Problem is, because I watch so much rugby across the globe now, I don't watch that much NPC. So when these guys come on from NPC to Super Rugby, I'm like, oh shit, this guy's new. My dad will be like, oh, he played well for Otago, so he'll be playing well for Bay of Plenty.
He did alright for Manawatu.
Yeah.
I like to.
Nobody does well for Manawatu.
But there are hardcores in New Zealand who watch players, they watch First 15 rugby.
For sure.
And they watch them through to.
I see a lot of guys comment about the under 20s. They're like, oh, this guy's been a beast at under 20s. And I'm I love that kind of comment because that teaches you.
You do have a lot of blind spots, do you? You have sevens blind spots, which
I don't watch no sevens. I don't really watch any other 20s. I don't watch 15, and now I don't really watch much NPC. Sadly.
Yeah, right. You just don't have the time. You don't even watch because your team's Auckland.
I watch a bit of NPC, but not a lot.
Auckland. You watch the Battle of the Bridge when it's
I watched Battle of the Bridge. Your bloody Harbour boys.
We got absolutely. We should have won that game this year.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. My apologies. Anyway, so they were the main things that I wanted to bring up.
New Zealand Rugby may be in trouble after the World Cup when all our players leave to take more money abroad.
Which is fair play to all of them. You know, and
should New Zealand open up its rules about selection and select players from abroad, or would we see a mass exodus of players to go play overseas?
So this is what we do. We get towards the end of our episodes and then we bring
up the topic. Maybe that's the topic for next time.
No, I just but I want to answer
next week there'll be no games on the following week. So
oh really?
We'll have kind of there's a fallow week.
Well, you know what we should do? Should we do a comments episode, a questions episode?
Okay.
So we take questions from the audience, and in the comment section, and we'll answer them for the week.
Well, next week we'll have games to talk about because there'll be games this week.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But then the week after there'll have been no Six Nations games on.
Righto.
So we could save that kind of stuff for that time.
That'll be.
Plus, we need to do something on your channel.
Next week's on my channel.
Right.
So yeah, that's the thing. The reason this is on your channel is just to let everybody know
that next week is going
to be on my
That's
channel.
the way we've traditionally done it. We never actually mentioned it.
No, we just thought you'd know.
This week his channel, next week my channel.
yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah. So it's not. There isn't a 2 cents gets distracted channel.
Unless you're on Spotify, which just listen on Spotify.
Listen on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Google Podcasts or Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah. But look, I think we've gone and done it. We've made another podcast.
We have.
Episode 2 of season 2.
Despite technical difficulties.
Do you think we were some technical difficulties? I apologise. Hopefully I edited something together to make it seem cohesive.
I believe in you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad someone does. But yeah, big week in rugby. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Mark. We end everyone with a handshake, but last week I think we forgot to.
Oh.
Sorry about that for everybody who was waiting for a
handshake. I just didn't want to touch you after all that taking a dump story.
Well, this week I talked about a very explicit sexual experience. Well, it wasn't one of mine, but it was comparable to, analogous to that sort of situation. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for watching. You can hear the jazz music as we speak. Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Oh, there it is.
Lovely. Cheerio.
All right. Bye-bye.